Hey everyone, this is the Loose Cannon, David McBee with the Twin Lakes Sports Network. We've been over in Harrison, Arkansas. They had quite an event tonight. Mid-States Wrestling was back. It was the Legends of Wrestling, and we have a legendary person with us, the one and only Hall of Famer, James Beard. So glad to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be here, man.
All right, now, you were a busy man tonight. You actually got called into duty calling a couple matches tonight.
Yeah.
You kind of had your hands full in a couple of those.
Yeah, it was fun. It's always interesting when you get in the ring with some of these guys, especially Matt Riviera. He's something to handle sometimes, and I always enjoy being in the ring with Jerry Lawler. He's a master. He really is.
Yeah, that boy Bradford, you were having to keep your eye on him.
He's a little bit of a sneaky guy. You have to kind of watch out for him. I know he does stuff behind your back. You just have to know it and try to get as much control as you can.
Well, we've interviewed a lot of wrestlers on this show, but we've never actually interviewed a referee. So, the referee, I kind of think Rodney Dangerfield, I get no respect.
Well, that's true. Not a lot of acknowledgments for the referees. It's kind of a shame because people don't really understand the role too much. But that's kind of been one of my things in the last few years, to try to educate a little bit about that. And if the fans understood what the referee really does and what he's supposed to do, he's really part of everything. So, it's an important part too.
It is. You got to have the ref. The timing's got to be just right out there in a lot of these matches.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, kind of tell us. You've refereed a lot of matches. Kind of tell us what's some of the biggest matches that you've ref.
Oh my goodness! I worked in Japan for about 7 years, and I worked a lot of matches over there. For a couple of years, I worked with WWF. They had a regular tour over there with a company that I was actually hired by. So we had regular tours with WWF wrestlers. So I worked with all those guys, the Hogans and the Road Warriors and just you name it, Shawn Michaels and the whole bit. So I had a pretty good run over there with those guys, and of course I worked in World Class in Dallas and the Global and I've probably worked with all the best of the best for the last 30 years, 35 years.
Well, just the organizations you named out, World Class, I think the Von Erichs, and then, Japan, all the great matches they've had over there. And it seems like Japan's been revitalized these last couple of years with Kenny Omega and all that with New Japan.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've gotten a chance to work with New Japan guys a lot, too, and I've enjoyed that. Von Erichs, you talked about them. I've actually worked with 3 generations of Von Erichs, the Fritz and then the brothers and now the grandsons of Fritz. And it's always been a joy to be a part of that, and they're all great guys. I love them, yeah.
Well, I always enjoy the referees. I know the fans give you a lot of grief, like, how come you can't see that? How come you can't see that? But, you guys are so vital to, really a good performance in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a clinic before the matches tonight, and that's one of the things that we stress, that the referee's role is very important. And if that's neglected, and it usually is, and unfortunately these days, but if that's neglected, you're losing a big part of the match. And it makes a big difference to have the right guy in there.
Well, I know you got a long ways to go, and I just appreciate you taking a few minutes. Not every day you get a chance to interview a Hall of Famer, so that's pretty sweet. So I'm just very glad you got a chance to meet you. And real quick, word of advice, if those who are wanting to be a ref, what would be the one thing you would tell them?
Learn everything you can about the business, everything you can about wrestling. I think referees have to know everything wrestlers know. They may not be able to do it, but they need to know everything about it. You need to know the holds, the moves, what they do, what the effects are. You're a big part of the match. You hear guys talking about a great referee is invisible. Well, that's absolutely opposite in wrestling. You're part of it, and couldn't be more untrue. So, learn everything you can, listen, and if you love the sport and love the business, then you spend your time knowing exactly what to do in the ring at all times. And it's a big part of it.
I'll tell you what, you can't do better advice than that. Hall of Famer James Beard, thank you so much again, and keep following us here on the Twin Lakes Sports Network.